as erratic power threatens to shift hands. The future of the Kingdom of Hawaii is predicated on an unstable axis in Chief of War. In order to establish himself as the great king who has been prophesied, King Kahekili is on a mission to eradicate the lineage of the four kingdoms. He is so keen to offer his forces to the Keoua districts in an attempt to accomplish two goals at once when an internal power struggle breaks out between the Kohala and Keoua districts. Nonetheless, little does he realize that his old foe, Kaiana, has acquired a place for himself in Kamehameha's council. In addition, he has accumulated a squadron of the preferred weapons of the pale skin following a disastrous voyage abroad. As a result, in Episode 9 of the Season 1 finale, The Black Desert, the two districts equipped with their advantages, abilities, and divine favors face an unforgiving arena. However, Kaiana and his family must risk their own deaths in order to decide the future of their motherland. Beware of spoilers. Kahekili is named a member of Kamehameha's council. Keoua's chief of war, Apanui, virtually announces Keoua district's plan to fight Kamehameha and his people by killing Nahi. The peace-loving chief is therefore forced to get his own soldiers ready for the impending violent conflict. He has numerous advantages over his vindictive cousin. For starters, his district's power has increased due to the tenuous partnership he formed with Kahekili. Additionally, other Hawai'i chiefs have been forced to swear loyalty to him as a result of this change in the tide. However, Kamehameha has his own tactics up his sleeve. After seeing the atrocities of the colonization of pale-skinned people, Kaiana, who was previously tricked into going to battle on Oahu, has realized the necessity of a united Hawaii. Kaiana's family rallies around him as he gets ready for battle. From the start, Kaiana and his family have been one cohesive entity. They not only share their lives, but they also bear the burdens of the conflict together. Everyone else is particularly affected by the eldest brother's presumed death following the war in Oahu for the same reason. His wife, Kupuohi, and his other brother, Namek, find some consolation and solace in one another as his brother, Nahi, racked with sadness and rage. Naturally, when Kaiana eventually returns home, this alters the dynamics within the family. At first, Namek and Kupuohi just go back to their previous lives, closing the doors to their brief romance and keeping it a secret. Does Kaiana die as the chief of war comes to an end? Every soldier's destiny is still in jeopardy as the forces of the Kohala and Keoua districts enter the Black Desert. The two battalions sing before the combat, and the war chiefs on either side take the opportunity to disparage the other's reputation and name. Following that, Keoua's troops are at the forefront of the inciting charge as war violence breaks out. Nevertheless, Kamehameha's soldiers use the rifle's long-range advantage to effectively destroy the first batch. Before long, the battlefield is covered in countless corpses on both sides. Despite Kohala's superior armament, Keoua's numbers combined with Maui warriors nearly make the battle evenly balanced on both sides. Kaiana eventually finds a clear way to approach Keoua directly when the latter's warriors eventually dwindle. The two fighters are therefore confronted with their fates and each other on top of a volcanic hill. The fire gods, who had apparently declared their preference for Keoua with the eruption that had occurred days earlier, have so far shown Keoua their favor. But suddenly, as the ground buckles beneath their feet, hordes of his troops that are waiting on the opposite side are drowned in the volcano's wrath. As a result, Keoua is forced to accept his fate and confront the wrong end of Kaiana's rifle directly after pleading for compassion to the gods. The latter is prevented from pulling his trigger by yet another outburst between the two fighters. Rather, Keoua is thrown backward by the lava, which determines his fate. Although the same happened to Kaiana, he manages to survive the blast. After racing to his side as he awakens from the near-fatal hit, a desperate Kahekili recognizes the same with relief. Do Kupuohi and Heke perish? The majority of the main protagonists are in the middle of a hazardous battlefield during the conflict between Keoua and Kohala. As a relatively fresh warrior, Heke sticks out from the others. Kupuohi, her sister, has long clashed with her brother-in-laws and husband, always joining them on the battlefield. The younger sister, however, has never experimented with the art of war. However, Nahi's terrible demise compels her to reveal her own violent and aggressive side. Hik has been anxious to get revenge in her lover's honor ever since he passed away, sending his killer to their own demise. Even though she is a novice fighter, her adversary, Apanui, is a chief of war and a feared warrior. Hik, however, is unwilling to give up when their paths intersect on the battlefield.